Tonight, we travel back through time to a city that began as a whisper
and became an empire of centuries.
a river that watched kings rise and fall. Legends were born here, quietly.
Laws were spoken, not shouted.
Stones were laid to last forever. And even giants learned to rest. This is not a tale of war. This is the story of time.
Long before Rome existed, this land was quiet, wild, and untouched.
Italy, a peaceful peninsula, resting between mountains and sea.
These mountains shaped the people, strong, patient, enduring.
Before cities, before walls, life moved gently with nature.
And through this land flowed a river, calm, patient, eternal.
The Tiber River, bringing life, shelter, and hope.
Here, small communities began to settle, quietly. They lived simply, close to the earth, close to the river.
And at night, stories were whispered beneath the stars.
From these quiet beginnings, a legend was about to be born.
And beside this river, a story slowly took shape.
This was the land of Latium, peaceful, waiting.
In this land lived a woman named Rhea Silvia. Fate moved silently, as it always does. Two newborn brothers, carried by the river's calm embrace. The river chose not to take them, only to guide them. And in the silence, a guardian appeared.
The wolf did not roar. She watched and waited.
And soon, human hands found them. They were given names, Romulus and Remus. Time passed, gently, as the river flowed. They grew among hills, animals, and open skies. These hills, quiet and ancient, watched them grow. From here they could see far and dream softly. Stories of gods and destiny drifted through the night.
The land seemed to whisper of something yet to come.
Without knowing why, they felt drawn to this place. Two brothers, one shared beginning,
one quiet bond.
And above them, the hills stood silently.
The future waited patiently.
One morning, the land felt different. Romulus listened to the silence around him. Remus felt it too, the pull of the land. A boundary, drawn not in anger, but in hope. Tullus followed, guiding Rome to stand strong. A place to gather, to belong.
People came, quietly, one by one.
A community began, without walls, without fear.
They named this place Roma.
A city born, not in noise, but in stillness. And Rome began to breathe. Rome now had a name and a beginning.
Romulus became its first king, not above the people, but among them.
He helped shape order and shared purpose.
After him came Numa, a king of peace and quiet belief.
Ancus built paths, connecting people and places.
Rome grew, guided by careful hands.
Servius listened and organized the city.
And the last king ruled without listening.
And so, the age of kings came gently to an end.
With the kings gone, life continued calmly. Each day began with the rising sun.
Work was simple, steady, familiar.
The city breathed through ordinary lives.
Laughter drifted softly through narrow paths.
Markets gathered people without hurry.
Food was shared, warm and familiar.
Evenings brought rest and quiet conversation. Night returned, gently, each day.
And Rome slept beneath the stars. When the kings were gone, Rome did not rush.
Instead, the people began to listen to one another.
Decisions were shared, spoken quietly, together. Rules were written to guide, not to command. Power was divided, so no one voice stood alone. Trust grew, slowly, as all things do.
A new path formed, not perfect, but hopeful.
The city belonged to its people.
Rome continued, steady, patient.
And a new chapter quietly began. The Republic grew, quietly, day by day.
Laws were shared, openly, for all to see.
Voices mattered, even the quiet ones. Work and duty balanced the days.
Protection came without fear.
Knowledge passed gently to the young. A shared space for thought and gathering.
Rome learned to speak and to listen.
Seasons passed, unhurried.
And the city endured, calm and awake.
Every home held quiet rituals, simple, meaningful. These moments shaped belief without words.
Traditions brought people together, calmly.
The air carried hopes, softly upward. Even celebrations were gentle, unhurried.
Stories of the past guided the future.
These hills held memory and promise.
The river still flowed, just as before. Rome was no longer just a place, but a feeling.
And that feeling settled into time.
Morning returned, again and again.
Life followed patterns, steady, reassuring. New faces arrived, bringing quiet change.
Rome began to reach, just a little farther.
The young looked outward, toward the unknown.
The city remained calm, even as it grew. A small flame, protected and patient.
Strength formed, quietly, beneath the surface.
Time moved forward, without haste.
And Rome was ready for what would come next.
The city rested between moments. The river continued, unchanged.
Time left gentle marks on stone
and memory.
The land breathed, slowly.
Even in stillness, Rome was alive.
A quiet light watched over the night.
So much still lay ahead, unseen.
But for now, there was only calm.
And in that calm, Rome waited. Another day began.
The city rested between breaths.
Small moments held great meaning.
The hills remained, watching quietly.
The river carried stories forward.
Foundations set, without noise.
A city learning to last.
The world around it remained wide.
Time continued. Gently. And the first chapter came to rest.
With the age of kings behind them, Rome chose a new path.
Power would no longer rest in individual womb, in one voice.
Instead, Romans gathered to speak and to listen.
This council became known as the Senate.
The Senate advised, but the people still mattered.
Two leaders were chosen to share responsibility.
Their power was limited by time and by law.
Rules were written so all could see. For most citizens, life remained steady, familiar. But beneath this calm, a strong system was forming.
Over time, the Republic found its rhythm. Laws were clear, simple, and shared.
Leaders listened before they decided.
Beyond the city, the land supported Rome.
Paths formed, connecting people and markets.
Trade increased without noise. Rome began to grow, not in leaps, but in steps. Preparation replaced fear. Discipline replaced chaos.
Agreements were formed alongside strength.
The Republic stood, patient and ready. Roads carried more than people. They carried ideas. Rome chose cooperation as often as command. Influence spread without haste.
Local traditions blended into Roman life.
Shared land created shared futures. Security arrived without spectacle. Every step was debated, slowly, slowly.
Trade strengthened trust and loyalty.
Rome was no longer just a city.
It was becoming a system.
Beyond Italy, another world waited. The sea became a pathway, not a barrier.
Trade carried stories, ideas, and wealth.
Routes crossed, linking many civilizations. Across the water, another power thrived. Carthage, rich through trade, not war. Rome watched and learned. The Senate considered distant horizons. Competition existed without conflict. The Republic looked outward, patiently. As trade grew, interests began to overlap.
Carthage thrived through markets and routes.
The same waters served many ambitions. No words were exchanged, yet much was understood. In Rome, these changes were discussed carefully. Treaties attempted to preserve balance. Both cities preferred stability over struggle. But growth is rarely equal. Tension formed quietly, like tides. And so, a long rivalry began without noise. Years passed, and patterns became clear. Rome learned by observing. The sea was studied patiently, per. Influence changed over generations. Adaptation replaced urgency. Knowledge became Rome's strength. Rivalry remained unspoken. The Republic endured through balance.
Strength grew without haste.
Rome prepared for what lay ahead. The Republic stood, balanced and strong.
Participation shaped power. Tradition became structure.
Rome reached its height as a republic.
Values passed quietly to new generations.
Leadership refined without haste. A new figure entered history quietly.
Change often begins unnoticed.
Stability carries its own weight. The Republic moved toward a turning point. Rome continued to grow, and so did ambition.
Voices rose, not in anger, but in persuasion.
Julius Caesar gained attention through words and presence.
Public support formed, slowly.
The Senate watched carefully.
New ideas entered. Old halls, many felt, understood.
Leadership often grows in quiet moments.
The balance of the Republic began to shift.
Change approached without announcement.
Caesar's influence reached many corners of Rome.
To Inseki, he spoke of reform and stability.
Some felt hope, others felt uncertainty.
The Senate grew cautious.
Authority began to blur. Leadership narrowed to fewer hands. The Republic felt the weight of change.
Caesar became a symbol.
Trust weakened quietly. The Republic approached its final test. Events moved beyond debate. Power concentrated in one direction. Traditional roles slowly faded.
Caesar was named leader for life.
Time moved forward, unchanged. Caesar's life ended. Calm, suddenly and quietly. Rome did not erupt. It paused. The Republic struggled to continue.
Old systems no longer held.
The Republic entered its final chapter.
The Republic still existed, but only in name.
Power divided among a few.
The people waited without certainty. Decisions moved faster than discussion. Authority drifted away from tradition. A new leader emerged quietly. He spoke of order and restoration. Many desired stability above all else. The old Republic quietly receded. A new era prepared to begin. The Senate remained, but its voice was faint. Institutions endured. Habits did not. Leadership gathered without resistance. A single figure accepted responsibility. He would be known as Augustus. The Republic ended without ceremony.
Life continued, uninterrupted.
Order replaced uncertainty.
Rome stood united under one authority. The Roman Republic became memory. A long chapter, quietly closed. Names remained. Meanings changed. A new generation knew only peace. The Republic's work continued through its roads. Order settled under careful hands. Stability became routine. Rome looked outward once more. A new story waited.
The past rested beneath the present.
And Rome moved forward into empire. Rome rested after centuries of change. Old ideas faded without resistance. Silence replaced debate.
The laws remained, even as power shifted. Daily life continued, unchanged.
Paths once built by the Republic still guided Rome.
Memory replaced governance.
One presence now shaped everything. Unity brought comfort and quiet. The Republic slept as the Empire awakened.
Time moved gently over the eternal city.
The Republic had finished its journey.
A new century began, quietly.
Rome now rested under one guiding hand.
Peace felt ordinary.
Order stretched across the land.
The city had become
The past remained as foundation.
A new chapter waited, patiently.
And so, Rome entered its age of empire. Rome awakened to an age of calm.
Augustus brought not noise, but balance. Peace settled into daily life.
This peace became known as Pax Romana.
Roads connected distant lives.
Movement felt effortless. Cities grew with intention.
Homes filled with light and routine.
Trade flowed without tension. The empire breathed slowly, peacefully. Baths were not luxury. They were routine. Here, time slowed.
Warm water eased tired bodies.
Conversation felt
Unhurried.
inside homes, life was simple.
Laughter echoed softly.
Meals were shared, slowly.
Food brought comfort.
Evenings arrived, gently. The empire rested beneath the stars. Morning began, quietly, even for soldiers.
Discipline felt calm, not harsh.
Order brought, peace of mind.
Strength was built patiently.
Care was taken in small details.
Brotherhood grew in silence. These roads connected everything.
Empire felt endless, yet gentle.
Rest was honored deeply.
Day faded without urgency. Markets awakened slowly. Hands moved without rush.
Every item told a story. Trade flowed peacefully.
Creation felt meditative. Art was born quietly. Beauty stood still. Colors breathed life. Commerce felt human.
The day continued, unbroken.
Rome expanded gently outward. Streets carried countless footsteps.
Water flowed wherever Rome touched.
Life followed the water.
These roads united the empire.
Distance felt smaller.
Cities became meeting places. Conversation replaced in conflict.
Stone reflected peace.
The empire breathed steadily.
Entertainment felt gentle.
Crowds gathered, without noise.
Performance began softly.
Music prepared the mind. Words drift like air.
Stories settled deeply.
Art flowed without effort. Walls remembered beauty.
Joy lived quietly.
The city rested again. Nature lived inside the empire.
Gardens slowed the mind. Water whispered softly.
Steps followed, no hurry.
Homes opened to nature.
Shade brought comfort.
Beauty appeared quietly.
Life moved gently.
Light softened the day.
City and nature became one.
Each day began quietly.
Mornings felt safe.
Small routines held meaning.
Lessons were shared. Gently. Skills passed. Hand to hand. Meals connected. Hearts. Elders carried memory.
Stories flowed slowly, slowly.
Day softened again. Togetherness felt complete. Faith existed quietly.
Belief felt personable.
Smoke carried thoughts.
Silence spoke. Clearly. Light shaped belief. Gods watched patiently.
Ritual grounded the day.
Every gesture mattered.
Peace followed them out.
Faith remained inside.
Learning unfolded quietly. Knowledge passed slowly. Attention felt natural.
Words waited patiently.
Thoughts wandered gently. Ideas took shape.
Wisdom rested on shelves. Choice came calmly. Understanding deepened softly. Knowledge rested again. Journeys began gently. Movement felt unhurried.
Paths connected lives.
Rest was part of travel.
Needs were simple.
Land felt open.
Destinations waited patiently. Cities welcomed softly.
Differences blended easily.
Get out around your dream of there.
The empire felt whole. Time moved without noise.
Days blended gently.
Seasons arrived calmly. Work followed. The sun.
Change felt natural.
Life adjusted easily. Stillness deepened. Warmth remained inside. Life renewed quietly. The empire endured peacefully. Time touched everyone. Generations met quietly. Faces changed slowly.
Skills continued naturally.
Guidance needed no words. Roles shifted gently, gently.
Years settled calmly.
Beginnings return.
Life flowed forward. The empire carried memory. Peace was a choice. Thoughts came to rest. Stone remembered silence.
Even great places sleep.
Light softened. Again.
The sky watched, quietly. Time reflected, gently. Nothing rushed forward. Another day. Prepared.
The Golden Age continued. Peace arrived, one day at a time. Life continued, steadily.
New generations learned quietly.
Creation resumed, naturally.
The Empire breathed as one.
Connected by time and stone. Moments passed, gently.
Nothing rushed. Its end.
History rests peacefully.
Rome had grown very far. Distance became heavy. Managing it all grew difficult. Some places felt forgotten. Money moved slowly.
Trade felt thinner.
Even stone felt tired.
Systems slowed quietly.
Guarding everything took effort. The Empire began to feel heavy. Coins changed slowly. Value felt uncertain. Costs rose quietly. People adapted slowly. Fields grew quieter. Work continued, carefully. Stores felt lighter. Decisions weighed heavier. Repair, replaced, replacement. Days shortened, gently. Leadership sought balance. Rome chose to share weight.
Responsibility was divided.
Power spread carefully. Systems adapted slowly.
Edges held, for now.
Rules tried to bring order.
Change felt. Uneasy.
Even emperors stepped away.
The system rested briefly.
A new name began to echo.
Beliefs slowly shifted. And faith-guided decisions.
Freedom of worship allowed.
Old and new lived together. Life continued quietly.
Unity was desired.
A new center emerged. The old capital felt distant. An era gently ended. The empire felt too vast. Control became difficult.
The East remained strong.
The West slowed down. Belief shaped daily life. One empire, one faith.
The empire was divided.
Two paths emerged. Silence replaced noise.
Rome was growing old.
Trade began to slow. Money lost its strength.
Harvests were lighter.
Movement slowed. Taxes went unpaid. Administration weakened.
Protection thinned.
Communities adapted.
The city rested.
time moved on.
The West felt quiet. Leaders carried heavy memories. Public life faded gently. Cities grew quieter. Memories remained bright. Authority softened. Government grew quiet. A child wore an ancient crown. Symbols began to fade.
The Western Empire quietly ended. After power came silence.
Life continued. The roads still guided steps. Rome's works endured. Knowledge was preserved. Laws lived on. Words survived time.
Thompson.
Rome reshaped the future.
Power fades. Legacy remains.
Rome did not disappear. It simply became history.
Centuries passed quietly. New lives among old stones. The path of Rome still guided journeys.
Stories were remembered.
Order lived beyond empire. Rome shaped tomorrow's world. Nature embraced. Wisdom never slept. Rome awakened minds again. Empires fall, but ideas live forever.
Stone remembers longer than people.
Every crack holds a story. Above Rome, time never stopped.
Paths remain, even when travelers change. Borders vanish, ideas remain.
They lived, loved, and passed.
Civilizations are moments.
In the breath of time, and yet the light returns.
Sleep now. History is watching over you. Even clouds remember Rome. The night speaks gently.
Life returns, quietly.
Voices fade, echoes remain.
Time softens everything.
The past reflects the sky.
Journeys end peacefully.
Awareness drifts away.
History rests with you.
Good night.
Breath slows with the night.
Even stone feels rest.
Shadows drift away.
Thoughts become waves.
Focus dissolves. Forms lose edges.
Awareness floats.
Mind rests.
Nothing to follow.
Stillness deepens.
Edges disappear.
Thoughts reflect, then fade.
Nothing to hold. Nothing to chase.
Awareness loosens.
Paths dissolve.
Breathing steady.
Details rest.
Nothing more to hear. Sleep.
Every empire once breathed.
Just like you.
Strength does not shout.
It learns to rest.
Rome walked, so the world could follow.
And then it stopped walking.
Not in fear.
But in peace.
History ends, so rest can begin.